Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker. We'll turn up the lights, and Mr. Bittar is going to speak for 5 hours on... Richard Bittar is the man behind the DBS.
Thanks very much, Richard. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you all to this celebratory launch. I'd particularly like to thank Senator Bill Heffernan for organising this together with his staff, and I'd like to thank the Honourable Peter Dudden and his colleagues for their attendance this evening. We really appreciate it. Tonight we're launching a series of educational DVDs and a website on deep brain stimulation for Parkinson's disease and other conditions. Our aim is to provide valuable information to those affected, as well as to their families and their doctors. Parkinson's disease is a growing problem in Australia. As our population ages, it'll become even more devastating. It often robs people of a chance to enjoy the fruits of many years of hard work, and in many cases, it affects young people, striking them down in the prime of their life. The economic and social costs will also escalate. Medications often work, but unfortunately, they frequently fail. It's for these people that deep brain stimulation offers the promise of a better life. For many people with Parkinson's, deep brain stimulation offers a fairly dramatic transformation, giving them back a degree of independence, dignity, and quality of life. Deep brain stimulation, or DBS for short, is like a pacemaker for the brain. It involves implanting electrodes into very specific areas which are thought to participate in the production of the disabling symptoms of Parkinson's disease and other illnesses. It allows us to shut down very precisely these regions, leaving the areas around relatively untouched. In this way, DBS is reversible. Access to DBS is still a major problem, largely because the technology is so expensive. Many public and private hospitals refuse to entertain the thought of providing this service to their community, and that's very unfortunate. Hospital executives and administrators must remember their essential humanitarian purpose and must sometimes make decisions which may not necessarily produce the best short-term financial outcome for them. It's heartening to see that organisations such as Royal Melbourne Hospital, as well as St Vincent's Hospitals in Sydney and Melbourne, and also the HealthScope private hospital group, they've all encouraged and been extremely supportive of deep brain stimulation. They've allowed us to provide this treatment to a lot more people than we otherwise would have been able to. Looking beyond Parkinson's disease, deep brain stimulation offers hope to people with other illnesses as well. It can be used to treat tremor, dystonia, and other movement disorders. For example, the effects of deep brain stimulation on patients with Tourette's syndrome can be quite astounding. More recently, as we just heard from Catherine, this procedure has offered hope to patients or to individuals with severe persistent depression. Depression can be a devastating condition which drains those affected of interest, motivation and happiness. At its worst, it can drain them of any will to go on. Over the past 5 years, thanks to the efforts of people such as Ian Hickey from the Brain and Mind Research Institute, as well as organisations such as Beyond Blue, depression has become a subject which is more freely discussed. As a result, people feel more comfortable about coming forward and seeking help. So where does DBS come in? Well, it happens that there is a circuit in the brain which does control mood. By stimulating parts of this circuit, brain activity can be rebalanced and depression often improves. Relatively small numbers of people with depression around the world have undergone deep brain stimulation, and the results to date are very promising, as we just heard. Unfortunately, when it comes to surgery for depression, not all Australians are equal. In Victoria, we have a very sensible, thorough process which involves the assessment of each potential patient by a psychosurgery review board, and those patients deemed suitable are then permitted to undergo surgery. The situation in New South Wales, on the other hand, is totally different. They have essentially made psychosurgery illegal. This archaic approach, based on the misunderstanding that modern psychosurgery is destructive, dangerous and difficult to control, actively denies people living in New South Wales reasonable access to this emerging treatment. We need uniform laws across the country which keep pace with medicine and technology. laws which facilitate access to potentially life-saving treatments rather than those which discriminate against some Australians based on where they live. In conclusion, I'd like to thank St Jude Medical and Medtronic for supporting the production of these DVDs, as well as David and Mitta Westbrook for their technical and editorial expertise. I'd like to thank the brave Australians experiencing significant difficulties who have sought out DBS, many of whom have indeed found it to be their answer to an otherwise intolerable life. Finally, I'd like to thank you all for being here to launch this vital educational resource. Thank you.